Hey guys, Canadian Range Nut here. It is Wednesday, May 25th. Just wanted to get into a video talking a little bit more about Steven Del Duca and the Liberal Party. So this is more for Ontario residents. We have an election coming up on June 2nd, and Steven Del Duca and the Liberals were talking about totally banning handguns, promising this is going to reduce crime, all that kind of stuff. I came across an interview with him on CTV News, which I was actually shocked because they're actually challenging him quite a bit on CTV News in this little segment. Now, it is from April 19th, but his views have not changed on this, and especially after the tragic shooting in Texas, he is just continuing to push the liberal gun ban in Ontario. So again, if you're not worried about what's going on in Ontario, you might want to click off of this, but I feel that as the firearms community, we should all kind of be aware of what's going on in all of the provinces that are out there. So I'm going to start playing it, and I'm just going to pause it as we go and just make my comments as we go as well. In case you haven't, please remember to like and subscribe this video, and also please remember to click the bell in the lower left corner under the screen there, so that way you can get notifications whenever I do post a new video. So here we go. Here is the interview with CTV News. This is Steven Del Duca of the Ontario Liberal Party.
Banning handguns in Ontario, and he says he'll do it within a year of the June 2nd election if he wins. That's the pitch from Ontario Liberal leader Steven Del Duca. He argues gun violence is getting worse. Well, is it? Let's look at the numbers. According to Stats Canada data from last November, firearms-related homicides in Ontario dropped from 2019 to 2020. They actually dropped, with Toronto seeing a 22% decrease in the rate of firearm-related homicides from 1.03 per 100,000 population to 0.8. But there are other stats. In Toronto also, shootings have gone up 47% since February, and deaths by gunfire in Toronto are up 57% compared to last year.
I'm just going to pause it there for a second, guys. So I think we all know where those shootings are coming from as far as criminals and gang-related type of violence.
So will banning all handguns really do anything, or just punish legal gun owners who are not responsible for violent crime? And how would the ban actually work? The leader of the Ontario Liberal Party, Steven Del Duca, joins us to explain. Sir, good to have you on the program. Why do you want to ban all handguns in Ontario? What do you think the result will that be?
Well, look, first of all, Evan, thanks for having me on the program. Let me just say, as you pointed out with the stats that you provided just a second ago, right now here in Ontario, in places like Toronto, we see the numbers going dramatically in the wrong direction. We hear on a regular basis the heartbreaking stories of people who are being injured or tragically losing their life to gun violence, gun deaths. Just the other day, out in Scarborough, 5 men coming out of evening prayers from their mosque were victims of gun violence, random. 5 of them shot. We heard heartbreaking stories a couple of weeks ago of 2 individuals who were killed, in that case by an individual who had an arsenal of legal guns at his disposal, according to police. So I believe the choice is clear here. I think it's
So just a little thing from my perspective, anytime a politician uses the word clear, Joe Biden does it a lot as well, especially with when it came to the vaccines. Let me be clear. They always like to use the word clear. That's when my radar kind of goes up and starts to think, these guys are full of you-know-what.
So important for us to protect the safety of the people of Ontario. And that's why, as Premier, I will move as quickly as I can in partnership with the federal government to deliver a handgun ban.
But Mr. Del Duca, you know the pushback, and you've heard the arguments not only from the Conservatives, but from others. Legal gun owners are not never, but are very rarely the cause of this kind of gun violence. Where is it coming from? Illegal gun owners, gangs, smugglers. You got to put the limited resources to stop them, and then gun violence and homicides will go down. Why take away guns from legal gun owners who are not the major cause of crime?
So first of all, I want to be really clear about this. I think
So there's that word clear again.
You have to do everything. I think, yes, you have to deal with, in partnership again with the federal government, the flowing in of guns that might be illegal from other parts of Canada or other parts of the world. For sure, you have to do that. But let's not be so easily quick, I guess, to dismiss the fact that there are still a lot of crimes that take place here in Ontario. By the government's own admission earlier today, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20% of all of the crimes involving guns involve guns that are legal. So in a city like Toronto, which so far this year, if I understand correctly, has seen 50 incidents of gun violence, we're talking about at a minimum 10 of those so far this year, and we're not yet in May, where the guns that were involved were legal.
So again, I love how he makes it sound as if there's this epidemic of gun violence in Toronto. Obviously, it's higher than it should be, but again, failing to look at the reasons why and what kind of guns and who is committing these crimes. And the reason I wanted to play this tonight as well, and I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this, but to an ignorant public, a lot of people eat this stuff up, and it just drives me crazy. Here we go.
Let me point out something else really quickly. When you define legal versus illegal, frankly, if someone owns a legal gun and it's stolen and then it's used in the commission of a crime, doesn't it therefore become illegal at that moment? So let's not get stuck in the weeds of legal versus illegal. Let's fight all causes of crime and deal with this.
But you know, are you using a broadsword when you might need a scalpel here?
And it's going to pause it there. And I love how this reporter is, again, I'm shocked because this is actually from CTV News. I love the fact that he's actually challenging Del Duca on it, because you very rarely see that. At least I very rarely see that when I watch either CBC or CTV or Global challenging the Liberal Party. So it's kind of a good thing to see there. Here we go.
Look, first of all, how would you do it? I know you want a gun buyback program. There's a cost issue there. The estimated, I'll give people an example. The compensation package federally for the buyback program after the Liberals banned assault-style weapons, as they call them, according to the parliamentary budget officer, was at minimum $756 million in addition to administration costs. So how much could your plan cost? And how would you do it, sir? Would you need to change legislation?
So let's talk about the how first, and then we'll get to the buyback program that we might have to go forward with. So let's also remember that we now have a willing partner in a federal government that has made it quite clear. The current federal government in their last campaign platform said that they want to give power or authority or flexibility to provinces that are prepared to move forward and lead in this area.
So just to pause it there for a second, that is a very scary thought. The fact that these guys are almost itching to get in because of a partnership with the Liberal / NDP coalition, let's call it for what it is. Even if you don't like Doug Ford, if you don't like what the Conservatives have done, I know we've got the New Blue Party, we've got the PPC. I'll be honest, guys, I voted PPC in the federal election. Do I regret it? Absolutely. But it did give me an eye-opening experience. And I actually was one of those people who actually helped count the votes as well as a scrutineer. And I'd never been so dejected in my life just to see how close the race was between Liberal and Conservative. So I will PPC. I liked their platform, but let's be honest, they really don't stand a chance. The New Blue Party in Ontario, I like them. They don't stand a chance. So I will be voting Conservative this time around, and probably every time around. Again, it's better to go with the devil you know than the one you don't. But, and Doug Ford has actually said he is not going to go after law-abiding gun owners. And again, that could change, but you know what? We have to take them at their word, and we have to look at what they're saying and listen to what they're saying. And I'm just going to start it up again.
So I'm saying today that in 43 days, if the people of Ontario elect me as Premier, I'm not going to wait. I want our province to lead in this regard. I think that choice is really clear between Ontario Liberals.
There's that word clear again.
And the Ford Conservatives.
How would you do it? But how would you?
Well, I will. Well, the federal government has basically said they will enable provinces that want to go. It could be federal legislation. It could be empowering the provinces to actually introduce their legislation. We didn't have that commitment from a federal government until the last few months. So I'm not going to wait. We're going to move forward in this direction right away. As for the buyback program, the federal government has also allocated about $1 billion nationally to support the outcome of something like a handgun ban. Ontario is about 40% of the country's population. That's a $400 million opportunity, again, that Doug Ford doesn't want to take advantage of, but I do.
Again, using the word opportunity when really it boils down to theft. We all know that if there is a gun buyback program, we will not get half of what our guns are worth. I've just got into guns over the last year. I have a Glock 44, I have a CZ P10F, I have a Henry Classic lever action, I have a Mossberg Maverick, and of course, I didn't tell you guys this, but a couple days ago, I actually just ordered a Ruger Wrangler as well. And those are all low budget guns, but that adds up, and just the rhetoric of this guy is just infuriating. There's a little bit more. Here we go.
So I want to work with the feds.
But I know you're blaming Doug Ford for this, but as my former colleague, now he's at Global News, but Colin DeMello pointed out, as you saw it too, he tweeted out, there were 51 gun deaths in Toronto in 2018, in Doug Ford's first year, but under the Liberals in 2005, there was also 52. In other words, it hasn't really exploded under Doug Ford. The Ontario government is currently investing more than $267 million over 3 years to provide police services across the province to safeguard communities. So I guess my question is, why do you think he's not doing enough?
Well, because, Evan, you started off this segment of your program tonight by talking about stats that are current. So this is 2022. We're not in 2018, and we're not in 2003. And we see the numbers over the last few months going dramatically in the wrong direction. Too many people who are at risk in this province. I believe a premier governing Ontario has a fundamental responsibility to protect the people of this province.
So too many people who are at risk in this province. Who are the people who are at risk? That's what I would like to know.
And Doug Ford's made it clear. He's fighting this every step of the way because he's backing the gun lobby, that narrow group of special interests, and I'm not.
What do you say to legal? But what's your message to legal gun owners across Ontario? We're saying I'm safe. Steven Del Duca is treating me like a criminal.
Well, again, I'm going to point out the individual.
I'll just stop it there for a second. And I think we are all safe. Obviously, there's going to be some outliers out there. But, I've got my gun safe. I have all my restricted handguns with a trigger lock on them. The ammo is separate. And once again, if you don't want to go down this route, just remember to vote Conservative if you live in Ontario. Obviously, federally, you want to vote Conservative as well. They're looking for a new leader as well. Pierre Poilievre is the front runner right now, I believe. I'll do another segment talking about him, and hopefully he does get in, because that's voting Conservative, guys, is going to be our only chance to keep our guns. And I'm not thinking within the next year. I'm thinking over the long term, because every time they take a little bit, new government will come in, they take a little bit more. Rights get slowly eroded. So that's something you got to think about when you're going to cast your vote.
Individual who about 15 days ago went out as a legal gun owner and randomly killed two individuals, two men, 21-year-old and a 35-year-old here in the city of Toronto.
Respectfully, sir, that's a terrible situation. I'm not going to minimize it, but people have used a car to kill people, and you don't ban cars. I guess the question is the solution here proportionate to the problem?
Well, I believe it is when you're talking about the numbers that we're seeing, when you talk about the tragedies that are involved here, and by the government's own admission earlier today, somewhere in the neighborhood of, at a minimum, 20% of the gun crime is being committed in using legal guns. And so there's obviously a significant problem here. And the Ford Conservatives are unwilling to move in this direction because they're looking out for their own political base, those narrow special interests. And I'm not. And frankly, I'm unapologetic about this. The choice is clear here. Ontario Liberals will work with...
Yeah, it's the third time he's used the word clear. And he also used the word clear in his tweet after the Texas mass shooting yesterday.
...with the feds to deliver a handgun ban because it's the right thing to do to protect people here in Ontario.
Okay, I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, as you say, we're not far away from an election June 2nd in your province. Ontario Liberal leader Steven Del Duca. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. And so you can see where this guy is coming from. He's obviously trying to buy the votes of the super lefties, the people who don't know any better, the people who have no idea what the Canadian gun laws are like. And it's funny about that because I'll talk to people who I don't mention it to everybody because some people will look at you like you're crazy or a psycho if you have an interest in guns. And when I do tell people, though, that we do have a criminal reference check done on us every single day in Canada, they're pretty shocked by that because obviously they're watching just things that are in the movies and stuff like that. Obviously, a lot of that is American based. But the Liberals, I think, in my opinion, are counting on the ignorance of the public when it comes to these issues. I spoke to somebody today at work and who was just saying, well, we don't need any guns. Nobody needs a gun except for police officers. Just that very narrow-minded, not willing to have a discussion, not willing to look at any other viewpoints. So that's what we're dealing with here. So again, Doug Ford is not my favorite guy. They really angered me a lot over the last 2 years because of all the lockdowns and stuff like that. I had a buddy who committed suicide due to those lockdowns at the beginning, and it really switched my view to a lot of things. And I will be voting for Conservatives again. I hope you guys do. Obviously, we have the freedom to do what we want. But again, as a gun owner, I really don't know that we have any other option. I think our best chance to keep our guns in Ontario is to vote Conservative, and I think the best chance to keep our guns nationwide in Canada is to vote Conservative as well. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this. Please remember to give me a like and a subscribe. And if you are subscribing, remember to click that bell. In the next couple of days, I'm going to be doing an actual real video with showing you guys my Henry Classic lever action rifle, which is a 22, but I'll be just demonstrating how that works. Obviously, I'll be using snap caps for that. Won't have a chance to get to the range until probably the weekend, but I do want to show you guys what that looks like and give you a little kind of a mini review of that. So remember, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, guys.